So the first thing that we're going to do is actually have an understanding of how we breathe. So this is essential, of course, to how we play the instrument. But sometimes when we pick up the instrument, we are taught all of these things over the course of our training, like push from the lower belly, push from the diaphragm, breathe from your back, do millions of things. You guys have probably heard them all. What do they mean and which ones are right? And that's what I want to help you guys see. So the first slide that I'm going to show you is just a very basic diagram of the way that our rib cage works and the diaphragm and our sternum. So the lungs then are underneath this muscular structure, this skeleton structure. So when you guys take a breath, what we need to understand is that the rib cage goes all the way around the back, right? So if you guys were to sit up a little bit forward in your chairs and just feel for a second where your rib cage is, you can feel the rib muscles in the back and you can feel them in the front, right? Pretty easy to tell, but we forget about the back part, and when we play, sometimes we've been taught, well, we must do this. Well, it's weird, and it's not the way that we normally breathe. So what I have started to realize is that when my lungs expand with air, when I take in an inhale breath, the rib cage is going to go out, as you can see. The elevation, lateral aspect of ribs in inspiration fleshes out. The sternum right here moves forward because of the elevation of the ribs. And then the diaphragm, which is involuntary, descends to increase the capacity for this expansion to happen. Then the diaphragm comes back up. Okay? Does that kind of make some sense? You see how that works? So what I'm going to show you now is not really difficult to understand, but it's important to understanding how this applies to the trumpet. So if you guys will look at this little sheet, on here it says a little medical terminology right underneath. What we're going to talk a little bit about is what this diagram means and how this applies to the trumpet. Okay, it's not that scary. It was scary to me the first time, but now it's not so bad. So just bear with me. So passive expiration basically means the exhalation that occurs when you breathe in and then you let it flow out naturally. For instance, I want you guys to all take in a full breath where you let the rib cage float and expand, and then don't hold the air at the top, just let it go. Okay, so like this. Go ahead. That's passive expiration. Now, forced expiration is when we actually force the air out. So you're going to take a passive full inhale, and then you're going to force the air out. So it'll look like this. Try that. Do you feel the difference? Okay? So in trumpet playing, we're going to have times where we're going to need passive expiration, and we're going to have times when we're going to need forced expiration. But the idea for the most efficient, relaxed playing is to get it to be passive expiration more often than not. Okay, training a feeling before you train a sound. No, I think they go together. Okay. The feeling and the sound should go together. And I also say that, you know, your job is to develop as many tools as possible on the trumpet, right? But there are two, what I would say, are big T truths of trumpet playing, and that is that the air needs to be free and that the lips need to be supple and freely vibrating. So we don't need to overbreathe, but the air still needs to be something that is relaxed. And that's why I think that working more on this aspect of passive expiration is really important, because it starts us in this place where our body's natural ability to come back down and to release the air is without any tension. Okay, so you watch these players sometimes, like my favorite example, it's kind of almost boring to watch him, but is Sergei Nikariakov. He sits there and he looks like this. Nothing. You're like, what are you doing? Where are you breathing? You know, but they just doesn't take that much air, right? We don't play a tuba. So we got to think about this in terms of what it takes to get our body to be at its most relaxed and anatomically centered state. Okay?